So we had left at the end of 17th chapter, right? And now we have started just started 18th. Right?
We discussed the 9 symptoms.
We discussed the.
We discussed this.
We were discussing the 9 symptoms. We just ran through it. We'll go through it again. So it's very important to understand that. That's probably the most important part of this chapter. So we'll go through one by one. So we are in the section of Bhava Bhakti. There are 3 types of Bhakti: Sadhana Bhakti, Bhava Bhakti and Prema Bhakti. There are a total of 19 chapters in scope of the Nectar of Devotion for compliance to the Bhakti Shastri course, out of which we have completed the section of Sadhana Bhakti, both Vaidhi as well as Bhagavad. Out of the 2 chapters, chapters 17 and 18, that talk about Bhava Bhakti, we have completed the 17th chapter. Now we are doing the 18th chapter. One more chapter remains in Nectar of Devotion, which is on Prema Bhakti, which we will complete in the next class. That will be the end of Nectar of Devotion, after which we will start with the Nectar of Instruction or Isopanisad. Anyone has any preference?
Nectar of Instruction.
Alright, so we will start Nectar of Instruction. Since others are kept silent, I assume you all are in agreement with that. So we will start Nectar of Instruction from the week thereafter. And in the meanwhile, what I'll do is, probably 3 weeks or 4 weeks from now, we will have that Maha recap of Nectar of Devotion. And then I'll hand over the question papers, closed book exams to your facilitators. And then as usual, we will have those dates by which they are due. And with your free will, you may either choose to do it as convenient. And then, but obviously, if you would like to receive a Bhakti Shastri degree, then the assignments are mandatory. You don't have to do those assignments if you are not aspiring for a degree necessarily, for a certificate. So it's up to you. So chapter 18 is called as Character of Ecstatic Love. So this chapter of Character of Ecstatic Love is divided into these 5 sections. It's divided into 5 sections. We will first talk about the symptoms of Bhava. The 9 symptoms of Bhava are very important from your examination point of view as well. So you need to remember that. 9 symptoms. Yeah, 9 symptoms of Bhava. Item number 1 is written there. They are important from an examination point of view. The second one is ecstatic symptoms in neophytes and non-devotees. So, how these symptoms can sometimes manifest even in devotees who are not advanced. How to understand that. So we will discuss about that. Then the third aspect is transforming shadow into genuine bhava. So the symptoms that reflect in these neophytes, okay, it is called as shadow symptoms of the original bhava. But then how does that shadow get converted into genuine bhava? That will be the third thing we will see. Fourth aspect we will cover is, if someone is not seen doing visible sadhana, but at the same time we see him that he is manifesting the symptoms of bhava, how should we understand that? Right? And then finally, if a devotee in bhava bhakti, when we interact with such devotees, if we happen to see some faults in those devotees who are otherwise on bhava platform, what should be our own attitude towards such faults? So this is what we will discuss in today's class. And the next class we will discuss Prema Bhakti, and that will wind up the Nectar of Devotion. So if you remember in the last class, we had discussed that one of the symptoms of Bhava Bhakti, anyone remembers what is the key thing in Bhava Bhakti that we talked about? What is the state? Pardon? That is one of the symptoms, but one of the characteristics of Bhava Bhakti. Symptoms of Bhava Bhakti. So if you remember clearly, one of the things, again from your examination point of view, this is important. One of the key symptoms of Bhava Bhakti that we have to know is that Bhava Bhakti essentially means that one is in the pure transcendental mode of goodness. Remember that we had belabored this point many times. Bhava Bhakti means it is the start of, it's the beginning where Shuddha Sattva starts manifesting. Where one is beyond the three modes of material nature. Beyond the mode of goodness, beyond the mode of ignorance, passion and goodness. So this is the time, Bhava Bhakti is the stage when the transcendental mode of goodness starts manifesting. We have to understand the difficulty in teaching these two sections is that it is well beyond, my own realization at least, Bhava Bhakti and Prema Bhakti. But it is a course requirement, so we are doing it. So at least we should understand it from a theoretical point of view at this point in time. Obviously, we should also strive towards reaching there, including myself. But there are not too many realizations from which one can speak in this section. So please we have to go through that. That's a bit tough part of this section. Not that in other sections we have great realizations, but in other sections at least we can relate to it. This section we will find it relatively little bit, we can't relate to it that much. Some of you may be able to. Okay. So some of us may not be able to, but at least it's important to understand it theoretically. So at least we know what to aspire for in our devotional life.
Start from after Asakti.
Bhava is after, yeah. So Ruchi, Asakti, Bhava and Prema. So it's the second last step before Prema Bhakti. The other characteristic of Bhava Bhakti that we discussed is Chitta Matsaranya. Anyone remembers what it means? Pardon?
Heart is softened.
Yeah, the heart becomes soft. So that is called a Chitta Matsaranya. The heart becomes soft. And only when the heart becomes soft, then Krishna will enter that heart. Lord Krishna will not enter a heart which is hard. So that is one of the characteristics of Bhava Bhakti. So in one sense, Bhava Bhakti is characterized quite a lot by emotions. So Bhakti is being done with full emotion in Bhava Bhakti. It is not done as a ritual. It's not even that, it's a transformation from Vaidhi to Raganuga, from a regulated way to a spontaneous way. Even we can do something spontaneously, but here the additional element is what? Emotions. Lot of emotions play in over here in Bhava Bhakti. And we will see something as we go on discussing in this chapter. One certain characteristic of Bhava Bhakti, it is again to remember, is that a person in Bhava Bhakti does not have any material, is not a victim of any material desires. Such a person is, in one sense you can call that person as a kinchana, one whose material desires are completely exhausted. Now, the discussion comes up in the Nectar of Devotion. How do we distinguish a stone-hearted imitator or a mundane devotee from a person who is genuinely in Bhava Bhakti? How do we know that a devotee is genuinely on the Bhava platform? So that one has to really understand that clearly. So one will be able, not more from the point of view of judging every devotee. This person is behaving like this, therefore I'm giving him 1 mark less in Bhava Bhakti. He is not demonstrating this characteristic or that characteristic. It's more from the point of view of knowing whether we are on that platform or not. So with these 9 characteristics, we can do a judgment on our own selves. Or in one sense, we will be able to know, like for example, I know one person, he told me twice or thrice, when I'm a pure devotee of the Lord. I don't know why the Lord is giving me so many problems. Okay? Obviously, this person has not read the Nectar of Devotion. Not that I'm not saying the person was not a pure devotee, but obviously, from the kind of material attachment that the person had, it was pretty evident. The person was lamenting over some mundane issues, material issues, and then saying, I'm a pure devotee, and all of you know it, better know it, like that. So, how to know that one is on the Bhava platform or not? These 9 symptoms have to be used as a reference point, and on oneself it has to be applied. Or in other words, what should we do so that we reach the Bhava platform? That's another way of looking at it. That's the safest way of looking at it. So there is no judgment either on others or on us, but it's more like, what is the template that Rupa Goswami has given, which we should adhere to, so that we can come to the platform of Bhava Bhakti, which we have to strive in this lifetime. The lifetime is very short. Time is running away. Death is approaching by every passing day. So therefore, more and more, sometimes when I think about it, I am realizing that time is slipping away, and we are deeply engaged in mundane squabbles. Who is right, who is wrong? All these things will not matter in the short lifespan that we are going to have. So therefore, it is good to sometimes immerse in these books and understand where we have to be, know where we are, so that we know, at least we realize that time is very short. And there are too many things to be done rather than worrying about small things. So there are 9 reliable symptoms of bhakti that are given. So from the exam point of view, you will be expected to know it by heart. All these 9 symptoms. A person, so Dhanudas Maharaj writes here, a person can neither imitate nor conceal these 9 symptoms. So nobody can imitate these 9 symptoms. They will not go very far. Or if we try to imitate, we will not go too far in imitating these 9 symptoms. We will fall flat at some point in time. So therefore, they are excellent standards for ascertaining the achievement or attainment of bhava. So what are those? The first one is avyartha kalatvam, which we discussed last time also, which is utilization of time. This refers to constant engagement in devotional service 24 hours a day. So it's a good idea to take a view of our own life. Are we doing this or are we not doing this? All of us have to do our own introspection and see whether this is being done or this is not being done in our life. Srila Prabhupada, as we mentioned last class also, many times used to mention, don't waste time. Time is an energy of the Lord. So this time has been given to us for the purpose of self-realization. This human form of life has been given to us for the purpose of self-realization. And we will realize time only as long as we are alive. So which means time is the energy of the Lord. As long as we are conscious of time, we should use that time wisely in prioritizing our spiritual activities. So it's everything is a question of priority in life. So we have to constantly keep on prioritizing. And life will pose many challenges to all of us. Life may sometimes, you want to go in one direction and life will pull you in another direction. That is completely possible. But this message has to be constant. But time does not wait. Time will not wait for anybody. When the time is up, all of us have to leave. So therefore, utilization of time is very important. So it's a, yes, Madhu.
Also Prabhupada always mentioned, even tons of gold cannot replace even a second.
Correct. Yeah. Thank you. So this is the importance of time. So it's a good idea for all of us to reflect on how we are utilizing time. Just like, in inventory management, we have the concept of ABC analysis, where, everyone knows what is ABC analysis? So there are 3 types of items. No, I'm not giving a class on inventory management, but keep it brief. There are 3 types of items. For example, in a company, let's say in an automobile company, let's say Jaguar is manufacturing cars. Now they have silver plating of some of their items, right? So for which they will buy silver. That silver is stored in the inventory. And then they have certain less expensive items like aluminium maybe. So those are also stored in the inventory. And then there are certain items like nuts and bolts which are also stored. Now which is the bulk of material that you will have? If you count, what will be the maximum? Nuts and bolts. Okay. But in terms of the total value of all the items in their stores, if you add, because nuts and bolts are maximum, will it be the most valuable item? Even if you put all the nuts and bolts together along with few silver items, which will be more expensive? So therefore, ABC analysis means understanding what are those A category items in your organization which contribute to inventory carrying costs, and therefore attacking those, singling out those for inventory management. Because there, if you do a small thing, it will give you bigger benefits to the bottom line. It's also called as Pareto analysis in one sense. So in our devotional, in our life, if we do a Pareto analysis of what are the activities that are taking us closer to Krishna, and what are the activities which are where it's all neutral, and which are the activities which are taking us away from Krishna, so we will ourselves be able to plot that chart. Nobody needs to tell us from outside. And then it will tell us where we are and where we need to go. And we will know in a day, if you see how, if we all analyze how much time we are actually spending deeply immersed in Krishna consciousness, then it will tell us the truths of where we want to go. If we don't know where we are, there is no point, we will never understand where we need to go. So there has to be a source, there has to be a destination. So two lines have to be on the graph. Where are we? Where am I supposed to go? And then what separates both? Time. So that is where the time. So the lesser the time, the slope of the graph has to be steeper and steeper. And we don't know how long we have on the planet. None of us know. So therefore, every moment it is being recommended here that we have to utilize as if tomorrow we are going to die. So at least we should understand this theoretically. I know we will forget it after going out of the class, including myself. I will be the first person to forget it. But at least the scriptures keep reminding us, thankfully. The second symptom of Bhava Bhakti is called perseverance. Perseverance means remaining tolerant and patient even amidst disturbance. Remaining tolerant and patient even amidst disturbance. Like Radhanath Maharaj says that this will be tested only in trying circumstances. Just like relationships, all relationships are tested when trying circumstances come. That time we come to know the depth of every relationship, correct? Only when trying circumstances come. When trying circumstances don't come, everything is very nice. Okay? But when trying circumstances come, then we understand our own maturity in Krishna consciousness, like that. And our own perseverance. Pardon? Trying circumstances means when some difficult situation comes. Yeah. That time we come to know our own advancement in Krishna consciousness. Of course, we may say others have come to know how advanced they are also. But at the end of the day, who wants to go back to God? It's not about we being right or we being wrong. But definitely we come to know how we are dealing with devotees in trying situations. So therefore, we always take a checkpoint. Oh my God, maybe, okay, another test Krishna has given and I have not scored full marks. I should have scored 100 out of 100, but sometimes we may score 10 out of 100, sometimes we may score -5, sometimes we may score 80. Okay. So at every point in time we have to understand how are we responding to different situations that life is giving us. That is called as our tolerance and patience. So both are different. Tolerance and patience are different. Tolerance means tolerance is with respect to others, and patience is with respect to our own self. Like that. So example is given in Nectar of Devotion of Parikshit Maharaj, who when he was cursed, he was having a very trying situation in his own life. He was cursed to die in 7 days by a snake bite. So rather than lamenting over the curse or discussing who is right and who is wrong, how the Shringi's son, he was wrong in cursing Parikshit Maharaj, his entire mood was one of repentance. I was mentioning in one class, again I took it from one of Govind Prabhu's lectures last week also. I was doing Bhagavatam class. I was talking about the 4 stages which I heard from him for reunion with the Lord. Everyone remembers the 4 stages?
No.
4 stages. First is recognition. Yeah, recognizing our own fallen position. Most of us recognize ourselves as the entity which is always right. Right? Most of us think like that. From my point of view, I am right. It's always like that. So by default, we are always right, according to our own mind. So therefore, recognition of our own fallen position, that I can also be wrong in some situation, that is the first step. If we don't do that, then we will never move to the second step. Second step is called as repentance. Once we recognize our fallen position, then there has to be repentance of that, sincere repentance of that. Only when there is sincere repentance, that we will move to the third stage, which is called as rectification. If we are not repentant, there is no need to do any rectificatory process, because I have not done anything. I am pure devotee. Like this person was saying, I am a pure devotee. Like that. So there was nothing. The person could not be made to understand also. Hang on, none of us are pure here. We have a material body around us. So recognition, repentance, rectification. Only then there will be reunion with the Lord. So these are 4 stages. So this means that we have to be tremendously tolerant and patient also. Patient, constantly recognizing our anarthas, constantly trying to repent and rectify ourselves. This is a constant journey. There has to be a constant introspection. So, when Parikshit Maharaj was cursed, again he did not counter curse. Or he did not go for that in the outside the station in India, they have that snake lava and all that, even bottles, patan usually sits. So he did not go for any kind of snake medicine or how to counter snake poison or whatever. He did not adopt any material measures for that. He simply took it as the will of the Lord. So his conversations with the sages has been described in Nectar of Devotion. What is the conversation he is doing with the sages? He says that I have come here to become your servant. He is telling all the Brahmanas who are assembled there. Okay. My only desire is that I become your servant. My only desire is that now I become fully Krishna conscious. Okay. So let my kingdom go away. Let everything, let all my opulence leave me. He is wishing that for himself. This is called as, that is a kind of repentance. Genuine repentance he had. Not that let the Brahmana's son, realize who was right and who was wrong. Ek din samajh jayega wo. Kaun galat tha aur kaun sahi. Sometimes our mind can tell like that. So he had nothing to do with that. He said, okay, let me suffer because I have done something wrong. I should not have put that garland around the sage's neck. I should not have garlanded him with a snake. So for that, let me suffer. So that is his prayer. But at the end of the day, it's not just saying that let me suffer. So it was not like a Nirashavadi philosophy. He is saying that let all my appearances go and let my only shelter be Lord Krishna from now on. Let me be devoid of all my shelter. It may sound in one sense that it is an overreaction. He is being too hard on himself. But what is his real goal? His real goal is that he knows that now death is coming near. So he wants to get detached from everything. So that discussion comes up in the Nectar of Devotion against this particular quality of Kshanti or perseverance. The third is called as detachment or Virakti.
So what's the second one, Prabhu?
Second one is Shanti or perseverance. Tolerant and perseverance. Perseverance has got 2 aspects, tolerance and patience. Tolerance is with regard to others, tolerating others' faults and being patient with our own endeavors in Krishna consciousness, knowing that it will give results.
Or tolerating also means tolerating our the pains that we suffer. No? Is that word matra sparshas to come?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Shitosha sukha.
They're going through that. Yeah.
Going through that, tolerating the pains that we are there.
The next is Virakti or detachment, complete indifference to the objects of sense gratification. Complete indifference to the objects of sense gratification. So the example is given here of Maharaj Bharata. So if anyone has the internet, you can check the web. This is Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 14, Text 43. 5.14.43. If anyone has, you can check. So Maharaj Bharat. So it is mentioned that Maharaj Bharat was he was the emperor of the whole world, literally, right? But it is mentioned that he gave up all his material attachments even when he was young. He was not materially attached. He gave up all his material attachments as if they were untouchable stool. So material attachments are compared to being untouchable stool. So he gave that up. and he had no attachment subsequently to his kingdom. Now, there is an interesting point that is coming here. There are two types of devotees who are glorious when it comes to their virakti or detachment. One who is detached so does not acquire. One who has been detached and has not acquired anything. That is one greatness of a devotee.
Correct.
Okay. For example, you have a meager income, right? But anyway you are detached and you have decided to live humbly. So you have decided to live simply. So you are not accumulating more and more material assets. Just whatever is bare minimum required for your life to sustain. That is one kind of attachment, which is glorious. But here it is mentioned that most glorious are those people who are surrounded by opulence, maybe even since their childhood, but who are completely detached. They are not affected by that opulence. It does not impact their lives, their behavior, the intensity of their Krishna consciousness in any manner whatsoever. One such devotee in ISKCON is Ambarish Prabhu. He is a very classic example, a living example for all of us to learn from. How to be detached even though he has everything at his disposal. For example, I can Devamrit Maharaj often says, I renounce Citibank. Why Citibank was never belonging to you in the first place? You never had Citibank with you. What can you renounce? It was never yours in the first place. But here is a man who is the inheritor of a value which I wouldn't even be able to count the number of zeros behind that. So, such a person who is completely attached to the mission of Srila Prabhupada. I was reading somewhere or hearing in a lecture that what struck him most, when he met Prabhupada, Prabhupada straight away asked him, where is your great grandfather? And where is your great grandfather now? Prabhupada asked. And that one word resounded with him. Where is my great grandfather now? So he realized the futility of material acquisitions. With that one statement, Prabhupada turned him around. And then he dedicated his life completely for the mission of. But for him, we wouldn't be able to see the Vedic planetarium at all. Right? So what a glorious service to his spiritual master. And what a life. Given what kind of a material life he could have had it was at his disposal. All those assets. So, that is called as detachment. So, such devotees who have everything but who are not attached to those possessions are even more glorious. This is mentioned. The next characteristic, so virakti, detachment. There is a nice verse also. Shraddadhanasya vivardhamana virakti manyatra karoti pumsam Hare pada anusmriti nirvritasya samasta dukkha apyayam asudhite. So this virakti, as soon as, that's a beautiful translation. I suggest you read the translation. Can you find out that verse? It's a very nice translation. It is something like when you perform devotional service, this virakti will automatically come. The more intensely we perform devotional service, this virakti will automatically come. So with that level of chanting only we can get detachment. This detachment is a very, we think we are detached sometimes. But sometimes we can get very attached to our detachment also. Okay. So detachment can come in various forms. Detachment need not be only from the gross objects. Somebody can be detached from the gross objects. So you will see such people living very simply and all that. They will be detached from the gross objects. But detachment really is from the subtle. Detachment from the subtle desires is more difficult than detachment from the gross desires. The most difficult subtle desire to get detached from is what? Desire for recognition. That is the very, very difficult one. Desire for recognition and desire for controlling others. This is the most difficult to get over. For example, even when we become preachers and cultivators, we will realize when you get into preaching and you get into cultivation, over a period of time, the consciousness will start thinking that now I am a senior devotee, like that. And then what will happen is, sometimes Krishna will arrange for things to be handled and controlled under our jurisdiction. Does it make sense? Sometimes it may happen like that. That is a point in time where we have to check ourselves. Have I passed the test or have I failed the test? So we have to understand. Because the desire to control, it comes very subtly in our heart. Sometimes we don't recognize it. When we are in the thick of things, we don't realize that, hey, I'm controlling man now. I'm controlling everyone right now. With my behavior, my actions, with my position. Sometimes we get some positions of authority. So it will come subtly. In the way we speak also, it will come. So it is up to us to recognize. Because when others tell this, there are two options. Either we will take it or we will stop talking to them. Correct? There are two ways. If someone corrects us, what do we do usually? एक तो लेंगे या तो बोलना बंद. हाँ ठीक है. Like that. Silent. Okay. So there are two ways of reacting. So better is what? Think ourselves. With ourselves, we will not stop talking to ourselves. Not. Correct? बुरा लग गया. Mind में मैं नहीं बात करने वाला हूँ अभी से. Mind ऐसा तो नहीं हो सकता, right? So at least we start talking to ourselves. But that is something which we have to constantly work on. Sometimes, it's a good idea to go back and think for the first time when we came to ISKCON, how beautiful it was. Correct? Why? Because we were a nobody. Correct? We were a nobody. First time when I came to ISKCON, I was pushed by someone. They were all dancing and I was just standing like this. And then I just got pushed by the wave, in Chowpatty temple. I just got pushed from both directions. And after some time, I just enjoyed it. And my focus was only on Krishna. I remember that day vividly. I was just immersed in Hare Krishna, Hare. First time when Prabhupada said, Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya, it was all like, it was vibrating, resonating day and night in my mind. Does it do anymore? No. Right now when we come to the temple, we are thinking, boss, क्या हो गया ये बराबर हरि बोल ने बोला मुझे उसका हाथ तो कल ये लफड़ा हुआ था ये इसको मिलेगा तो ये बात पूछेगा वो तो माता जी अपने को पूछती भी नहीं है ये प्रभु तो अपने को पूछता भी नहीं है ये पक्का हरि बोल बोलेगा मेरे को आज दिस प्रभु थैंक यू करके पैर में आके गिरेगा अभी माय गॉड जंक इज फील्ड इनसाइड गोबर लाइक वेदवेद प्रेम गोबर मारा हुआ है राइट सो दिस गोबर हैज टू gobar. Sometimes it doesn't go from the heart, from the head constantly. So that is a big struggle. So, but all of us will have those graphs. All of us will have those graphs in our Krishna consciousness. In any capacity, those graphs will come. Whether you take leadership role, whether you don't take, somewhere it will come. You can even become proud that I am a great cook, or I am a great kirtan singer, or whatever. Anything, something will be there for us to be proud of ourselves. Like that. So we have to really attack that and see how we can come to the temple and taste that pure. The first time there कुछ भी नहीं था. Then what was the taste we were getting? That taste we have to try and get. So the next is, sorry, any question?
So in that detachment we discussed Vairagya and Virakti. So out of that Virakti is better. Can we say it is better? Or
a devotee who is amidst all opulence and is not impacted is greater in his renunciation than one who never had it in the first place. You have everything but you are not impacted by it. The next is pridelessness or man shunyata. To feel humble even though one is extremely elevated. To feel humble even though one is extremely elevated. So example is given of Lala Babu here. You all heard of Lala Babu's example? There is a mandir also, Lala Babu ka mandir. Rajabhumi. So Lala Babu, he was a devotee. If you read this book, Saints of Braj, you will hear about his example. So he was sitting in a palanquin and going somewhere. He was a very wealthy landlord, very wealthy beyond our imagination. Biggest landlord's family. So he used to go in a palanquin. Who can afford to go in a palanquin everywhere? Carried away everyone. So he was sitting royally in the palanquin and going. And one day as he was going, it was getting evening. And then he heard a conversation outside. He was passing through some hutments, some village, and he heard a lady shouting at another lady, probably, I don't know which language, probably Bengali or something, or Hindi, saying that, in essence saying that, Samay ho raha hai, the time is coming close now. This is all he heard, something like this. That there is very less time now, jaldi karo, do fast. Why that lady was telling the other lady do fast, what it was, we don't know. But Lala Babu suddenly got a spark of realization. My God, I have to do fast. Time is running out. And here I am enjoying my material opulences. My palanquin I am enjoying right now. But death is going to swiftly come. Immediately he got out. And that was a stage of sudden realization. Sudden realization. From that spot was his Krishna consciousness manifested at the highest level. So he decided he will renounce everything and only live by begging. Just imagine, a landlord who has everything is living by begging. So eventually he finds this guru and he is serving his guru very nicely, living very simply, nothing, one kaupin, that's all. And Lala Babu is living by begging. Whoever gives from the house, he eats. Then he approaches his spiritual master one day, and he doesn't ask, but he realizes that his spiritual master is not giving him mantra diksha, initiation, right? Even after this kind of even after he gave up everything, he is not giving him mantra diksha. Therefore, he's wondering why, but he doesn't even ask the spiritual master, Maharaj, why you are not giving me diksha? No, not like that. So he waits. And he tries to go internally within himself and understand why it may be like that my spiritual master is avoiding initiating me. Because he has to be given formal Babaji wish. So therefore, what happens? Suddenly as he goes, he realizes that out of the 5 houses from where he is begging Madhukari, he goes to 1, he goes to 2, he skips house number 3, goes to 4 and 5. And he regularly does that. Why he skips house number 3? Because when he was a landlord, at that time, his competitor landlord was in house number 3. So he was taking Madhukari from that person because they both did not like each other at all, right? And then he realizes, he says, okay. And from that day, he goes outside and begs for food from the person who he hates the most. Abhibol, please can you give me some roti? Like that. And then when the servant hears this, he runs inside and says, Lala Babu aaye, Madhukari ke liye. And that person is also Bhapri, apne dwar mein aaye, Madhukari ke liye. And he is very magnanimous and charitable. Le, tu bhi kya hai? So he is also giving Madhukari to him. But in the process, Babaji becomes. Then that day when he goes back, his spiritual master says, you are now ready for initiation. Obviously, if we are put that criteria, we will never get initiated. What to speak of second initiation or whatever, first initiation in center bhi nahi hoga. So this is the criteria. So this is called as pridelessness. Pridelessness. Going to an enemy who you don't like and begging Madhukari. Today morning I was thinking I should try this out. Go to someone who I know does not, cannot stand me, and go and ask them, bhook laga hai thoda kuch khana milega kya kar mein? Like that. Thinking try karna chahiye humko. Of course we can't imitate these devotees, but it's not a bad exercise to do, so that you can't become more shameless than that. Then ask someone, mujhe ye bana ke do. And that to a person who you don't have any relationship with. Okay. So to feel humble, even though one is extremely elevated, these are all symptoms of bhavatya. Let us not forget what we are discussing. So we discussed utilization of time, we discussed perseverance, we discussed detachment, and we discussed pridelessness. Then next is Asha Bandh. Asha Bandh means hope against hope. Asha se bandh. Hope against hope. To possess the firm faith that Krishna will deliver one to the highest perfection, even though one feels low and utterly unqualified to achieve it on his own. So to have hope against hope. Rakshishyati sa vishwasam. 100%. Goptratve varnam tata. Lord Krishna is my maintainer, Lord Krishna is my protector, and Lord Krishna, if I simply follow whatever Srila Prabhupada basics of Krishna consciousness, then that is good enough. Somebody was telling me yesterday, our Ram Hari Keshav, Ram Priya Keshav Prabhu. He and I entered the lift. I was hearing Govind Prabhu's lecture, and as we got off the floor, we met in the tram, but we both decided. I told him, you here, I will also here. Okay? So we got off the tram, and I just removed the thing, because office had come by now. We had to go to our respective desks. So he also plugged. I said, what did you hear? Quickly I asked him. So he asked me first. I said, Govind Prabhu's lecture. What did you hear? He said he is hearing Prabhupada lecture. But he was saying, Prabhu, basic lecture I am hearing. Prabhupada was saying basic. I said, that is what we need. Then I was suddenly thinking, we hear all, sometimes we want to hear advanced lecture, but it is a basic lecture. So Prabhupada was giving a basic lecture. He was saying, sit down, sit straight, and attentively. These are the basic things in Krishna consciousness. So sometimes it's easy to forget the basics of Krishna consciousness. If we do that, basics, then 100% Prabhupada has guaranteed us. So why should we not have hope against hope? Simply by following what Prabhupada is saying, we will go back to God's way. Prabhupada said, if you can't, then I will take you through the back door. So that hope is there. That by their mercy, we stand a chance. Krishna will not leave us. Like that. However, this hopelessness can come from two aspects. Hopelessness can come, hopelessness again. Hopelessness can come from two aspects. Hopelessness either can come from humility or it can come from laziness. Am I making sense or not? Hopelessness will come from humility. Example is Rupa Goswami. Rupa Goswami is saying, I have not developed any love for Godhead. I am born in a very low class family. He is writing all that. Prabhupada is giving a Nectar of Devotion. Okay. He says that, I have not attained any love for Radha and Krishna. I don't know what is going to happen to my life. Rupa Goswami is writing like this. Now that is coming out of his humility. Right? But the hopelessness which we have may not be necessarily coming out of humility. It may be sheerly because we are not able to overcome our laziness. Right? Or our problems, our false egos. That is why, we may become kabhi nahi hone wala. Sometimes you feel that you want to have good relationships, and then you start realizing, I don't think it's going to be ever possible. Right? Have you felt like that anytime? It can happen sometime. Like that. Or you try chanting for 4 days, attentive chanting, 5th day again something goes wrong. Right? And then you are back to your normal gibberish chanting, whatever we do, like that. So then it's easier to lose hope. So that can come because of our own indiscipline, because we are not strict with ourselves. We can lose hope, or we can have hopelessness at a very advanced stage, because we think that we are not advanced. That is coming out of humility. So we have to be. So when we say here, when it is said, the characteristic of a bhava devotee is hope against hope. Which one are we talking about? Humility. That hopelessness which comes out of humility and advancement. Not that hopelessness which comes out of laziness. Not that every devotee who says, Prabhu, I'm most fallen. If someone tells me, Prabhu, you are in bhava bhakti. Mera koi hope nahi hai, Prabhu. Achha, one symptom of bhava bhakti. It's like Prabhu is in bhava bhakti. It's not like that. You have to really understand. Because in other interactions we will come to know. Especially in trying situations, the humility is tested to the maximum. Whether our false ego is surfacing or whether we are willing to submit to senior devotees. That is when it is tested. Otherwise it is never tested. Right? So at that time our own advancement is known. Like that. Samutkanta. That is the next characteristic. That is, what is that? That is intense eagerness. Intense eagerness to achieve pure loving service. So here Prabhupada is describing the prayers of Bilva Mangal Thakur, okay, which you can read offline. Intense eagerness. In his own life, his intense eagerness or attachment to the prostitute was transferred. That was Bilva Mangal Thakur. Yes. It was transferred to the prostitute herself said, if the attachment which you have one iota of attachment for the Lord, you will cross this ocean. You have crossed this big material ocean to come just to have association, physical association with me. If you had one drop of that, and Brajava Prabhu, acted. So that is called as intense eagerness to achieve pure loving service. The next is constant attraction to chanting Hare Krishna. Constant attraction. Not that Brahma hota nikal jata to bahut taklif hota hai chanting ke liye. Not like that. Constant attraction to chanting Hare Krishna. At whatever time we chant. Of course, it doesn't mean that we preserve our mouth for the night and say, Prabhu, constant attraction. Raat ko bhi main chant kar pata hu. because आप रात को ही chant करते हो. Constant attraction means that I desire millions of tongues. Okay. So again I said this is beyond realization. At least we understand theoretically that this is a symptom of Bhava Bhakti. Prabhupada's god brother Akinchana Krishnadas Babaji was an example who had constant attraction for the holy name. All the time he will be chanting Hare Krishna. So this is called as Nama Gane Sada Ruchi. Nama Gane Sada Ruchi. Constant. This is one symptom of Bhava Bhakti. Then next is addiction to glorifying Krishna's qualities. Addiction to glorifying Krishna's qualities. So whenever there is an opportunity that presents, immediately start Krishna Katha, discussing Krishna Katha. Addiction to that. Chalo Bhagavatam padhte. Chalo, let us discuss Krishna Katha. Like that. It's an addiction for someone. Nobody needs to tell. So that is another symptom of Bhava Bhakti, that a person will always be discussing Krishna Katha. And therefore, such a person will be a very top class preacher also, if you see. Because he's got that enthusiasm will spread into others also. Then the final 9th point is love for living in the holy dham of the Lord. So there are many devotees who develop love for living in the holy dham. For example, we met one devotee when we were in Puri, Devadatta Maharaj's disciple, Saishnu Nitai Prabhu. So he's very young actually, full life aage pada hai. But he said, I have taken Kshetra Sannyasi. He said. Okay, Saishnu Nitai Prabhu. So he took us to various dhams. Who were there? You were there? Murli Prabhu was there. So he took us to the various dhams and so nicely he explained all the katha. We were in that, which house was that? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ja rahe the. What is the name of it? Gambira. Ab bhi the. Gambira. So he was explaining all that. So I was asking him, he said that Jagannath Puri, the first time I came, it motivated me so much, I decided I'm never going to go to this place. I said, never? He said, no. This is my place. So I said, where are you from? He said, Hyderabad. I said, don't go to Hyderabad now. I'm in Puri. It's like that. And then we also, our Sukadeva Prabhu is there, Priti Lakshanamate, Sukadeva Prabhu's brother, Radhacharan Prabhu. You met him? Radhacharan Prabhu's name is there. So if you go to his house also, you will see. So nice vibrations in his house. So Radhacharan Prabhu also is said that, हम आए थे बहुत साल पहले, आए थे प्रभु आप कितना साल से रहते हो? हम आए थे बहुत साल पहले, हमको ठाकुर समथिंग ठाकुर जी व्हाट डिड ही ठाकुर जी भाग गए और हमने सोचा हम नहीं जाएंगे वृंदावन पर, अटैच फ्रॉम देयर इटसेल्फ, नेवर गो आउट ऑफ वृंदावन, कभी नहीं जाए. He says he has a huge relatives, everyone tried pulling him here there, but no, sorry, I'll be here, like that. Same is the case of Ghanshyam Baba. If you if you see, read the Journey Home, His Holiness Radhanath Swami explains about Ghanshyam Baba, who inspired Radhanath Swami when he was 17 years or 18 years old at that time. So Ghanshyam Baba's story is also like that. He came to Vrindavan for some visit with his parents, and then he told his parents, I want to stay for a few more days, I like this place. And then he said that I will not come back. His father said that Jaidat ka ek paisa nahi milega. I will not give you one, nothing from the, what is Jaidat? Inheritance. You will not get. He said, okay, no problem, thank you. But I will not go out of Vrindavan. And he lived in Vrindavan. So this is called this attachment to live in the holy dham. And of course, there are many devotees who demonstrated in various capacities. We have Asitananda Prabhu. It was a very, very good example. Living example we can see and relate to. He planned his life very nicely. He has now gone to the holy dham, settled in the holy dham, religious Krishna Katha, sends us so many nectarian males from here. So that taste is there. He knows how to live his retired life in the holy dham, like that. Son is settled. It's a perfect life for anyone. If someone wants to say what is perfect life, father, mother, son is an ashram. It may or may not work for us, but it works for someone. We are happy about it. Right? We have some hope against hope. Okay. So these are the 9 symptoms of Bhava Bhakti. Now, Prabhupada says that these ecstatic symptoms of Bhava Bhakti sometimes can show up in neophytes or non-devotees as well. Okay. Sometimes non-devotees may seem to exhibit signs of ecstasy. But Prabhupada writes, this is simply an external display of mundane emotion. It's simply an external display of mundane emotion. Genuine ecstatic symptoms are the private domain of advanced devotees with strong and exclusive attachment to Krishna. So anyone who is a genuine bhava devotee, usually he will keep his bhava very private and not demonstrate it in public. They can never appear in people attached to sense gratification or liberation. So anyone who is attached to sense gratification or liberation, bhavavati cannot touch such persons. If even those who are arduously executing sadhana bhakti, even if such people may not attain bhava, what then can be talked of the non-devotees? Srila Prabhupada writes, this attachment is very confidentially kept by Krishna and is bestowed only upon pure devotees. So bhava is awarded only to pure devotees. Otherwise they are kept very confidentially. Like my mother, had a safety word. You will lock the number. Adam Jamane ka ek safety word in my house. Tring, it will open like a box. Everything will be kept there. When my father gets the salary, he will tring, put and then lock it. So like that, Krishna is guarding this bhava bhakti and dekhte hain isko abhi very ekdam kanjus, like that. He gives only to very selective devotees. Arduously, the word is used. When neophytes or non-devotees display emotions that resemble the symptoms of bhava. Now this is something Krishna is so confused, he is only giving it to pure devotees, but sometimes neophytes and non-devotees will also display these symptoms. Obviously Krishna is not giving them. Right? To a neophyte, how can one get, a neophyte who is attached to material life, how can these symptoms manifest? That could be a question. But still sometimes it shows in neophytes also. So how to understand that? So when neophytes or non-devotees display emotions that resemble the symptoms of bhava, it is called as rati abhash. Abhash means shadow. Rati means attachment. It's a shadow of the real attachment, or it's a reflection of the real attachment. Two ways of looking at it. Reflective attachment and shadow attachment. The reflective attachment is called as pratibimba. Pratibimba. And the shadow attachment is called as chaya. So, now here is a very, very important point to remember. Please hear carefully. Pratibimba attachment, which is called as what? Reflective attachment. So we are talking about the top one now. Hear carefully, the very significant point coming here for all of us. Someone may execute devotional service with an ulterior motive. For fruitive gain or liberation. Someone wants bhakti or someone wants mukti. So with that someone may execute devotional service. In this case, although the motive is corrupt, the practice is quite intense. Motive क्या है? Corrupt है. लेकिन practice intense. Solid मेहनत कर रहा है devotional life में. But motive is corrupt. Okay. While performing devotional activities in the association of advanced devotees, such a person, this person, whose motives are corrupt, but sadhana is intense. When performing devotional service in the association of advanced devotees, such a person may experience symptoms. Even such a person may experience symptoms that resemble ecstasy. Because the genuine ecstasy of advanced devotees is reflecting in the mirror of their hearts. The genuine bhava of advanced devotees is reflecting in the mirror of their hearts. That is why even such a person who has come with ulterior motive and intensely participating in the bhajan, they may also show some symptoms of bhava. By the good grace of the Lord, one may also cooperate and join in the chanting. At that time, simply by the association of such pure devotees, the moon-like rays from their hearts reflect on him and by the influence of pure devotees, he may show some likeness of attachment. Such a devotee may show some likeness of attachment, though actually the motive is ulterior. Right? So this is called as reflective attachment or pratibimba rati avash. Okay? The second is shadow attachment, which is chaya rati avash. Sometimes, now here carefully this one. This is called slightly different. You have to understand the difference between these two. Okay? Sometimes a person may execute devotional service out of social convention or curiosity, not out of ulterior motive for bhakti or mukti. This is out of social convention. It's good to go to the temple. Everyone should go. Krishna temple to acha hi hai. Generally it happens in Gujaratis. Yeah. Krishna temple है ना जा सकते हैं हम लोग कृष्णा को मानते हैं, like that. Gujaratis are naturally Krishna devotees of the Lord. They don't have to be told Krishna is Supreme Personality of Godhead. To a Tamilian you have to tell. You'll tell, I thought Murugan was the Supreme Personality. Or to Maharashtrian, to Ganpati tha. So that problem you don't have it. So here, but then obviously the understanding of ordinarily of Krishna will not be great. We just haveli mein jati hu, ye karti hu, aati hu, like that. There is no philosophical understanding or depth of the processes. There is no chanting usually that is involved at all. Right? It is more that there is some attraction. So, and then sometimes what happens, it's a social convention also. जाना चाहिए सब लोग ने, एक बार तो जाके आना चाहिए, like that. कभी कभी सत्संग में जाने का है, अच्छा है, good for you. Socially it is good. Or somebody may go out of curiosity. हाँ देखते हैं क्या है इधर. Somebody may go out of curiosity, like that. Now we are comparing this to that original reflective attachment. This one. Compared to reflective attachment, this devotional service is less intense because it is just out of कुछ ऐसा चाहिए, मुक्ति चाहिए, टूरक में यूनिट चाहिए. There is no such driver to do this activity. Intense bhajan. इसका क्या ना ऑप्शन में ऐसा भी. Intensely bhajan, trained to the Lord, saying that Lord, please, really, I have all these material desires. Or I have a desire for liberation. So they are doing intensely. Whereas this person, what he is doing? They have only come out of
Social.
curiosity or social convention. So the practice is not that much intense. Okay. Compared to reflective attachment, this devotional service is less intense, but the motive is not nearly as corrupt. Such people may exhibit a slight resemblance of ecstatic symptoms, especially when they join kirtan, attend festivals, visit the holy dham, or get the occasional association of saintly devotees. So such person will also get some bhava symptoms, right? Unko bhi milega, inko bhi milega. Srila Prabhupada explains, if an ordinary man develops such attachment for Krishna in the association of pure devotees, he can also rise to the platform of pure devotional service. So Prabhupada is saying both can rise to the platform of pure devotional service. The previous type of rati abhash, which is pratibimba, which is reflective, more intensely reflects bhava. What happens? It more intensely reflects bhava because the practice is very intense. So it more intensely reflects bhava. It is like an image reflected in a mirror. There is a difference between a shadow and a reflection, right? So Prabhupada is saying it is like an image reflected in a mirror. However, in chaya rati abhash, the symptoms are not as clearly reflected. In chaya, shadow, symptoms are not clearly reflected. If you show the reflection of a person and if you show the shadow of a person, which is more clearer? Obviously. Immediately you come, this fellow is this, I know him. So shadow and say, looks like this person, but I don't know. It's like that. So, however, in addition to rati abhash, the symptoms are not as clearly reflected in shadow. Rather, it is more like a shadow which is cast on the ground. There is only a vague resemblance to the original object. Right? Therefore, Srila Prabhupada translates chaya rati abhash as shadow attachment and pratibimba rati abhash as reflective attachment. Which is better out of the two? Reflective, which is the top one. Okay, let's see what Prabhupada says here. That's why I said be attentive. Srila Prabhupada describes shadow attachment chaya as para, transcendental, even though it is less intense. What does Prabhupada call as? Srila Prabhupada describes shadow attachment as transcendental.
Chaya is better than Pratibindha. Is it?
Srila Prabhupada describes shadow attachment as para or transcendental. Even though it is less intense, shadow attachment is better than reflective attachment because there is less ulterior motive. Can you imagine? What is the importance of ulterior motive in Krishna consciousness? When I read this, so many things came up in my mind. Which I was discussing because I had just read it and I was discussing. You were there in the Bhagavad, that's why you are nodding at it. I was discussing that when we start evaluating, मेरा ulterior motive, मैं क्या चाहता हूँ, मैं अभी ये सब जो किया है, अभी कर रहा हूँ, what do I want? If we ask ourselves, very dangerous answers will be given by the mind. Mind will say, you did this because you wanted respect. You did this because you wanted recognition. You did this, oh ठीक है, तू भक्ति किया सब बराबर है. But तू specifically ये जो कर रहा है, deep inside when you go, you are thirsty for respect, recognition. So these messages can come. But that is what Prabhupada says, that is the ulterior motive. So Krishna is bhavagrahi, so he sees why we are doing something. At the end of the day, are we doing it to increase our attachment to Krishna, or is there, that is also there, सेवा भी चल रहा है, but थोड़ा ये भी मिल जाएगा, मेवा भी मिल जाएगा तो क्या प्रॉब्लम उसके साथ, correct? थोड़ा recognition आया तो क्या प्रॉब्लम है उसमें, like that. But sometimes what will happen, we may get into the trap of doing certain things simply because of some other desire, anya abhilasha, other than to pure desire to please the Lord or the spiritual masters. Some activities. Out of 100, we may do like that. Out of 100, we may score 80 marks of doing genuine. But that 20 is that alternate motive. But we have to obviously focus on the 20, otherwise we will not improve. If we just say 80, beta shabas first class, which is fine. But then if we want to go up, then we have, what will help us go up? Reflecting only on our anarthas, not reflecting on our achievements. Reflecting on our achievements will only make us feel complacent and proud, right? So therefore Prabhupada is saying that though this is less intense, इसमें ज़्यादा activities are intense कुछ नहीं हो रहा है, but still the ulterior motive is not there, so that is what Krishna catches in me. Came only out of curiosity, social convention, didn't come with any ulterior motive. कुछ मन में था लेकिन कुछ चल रहा है, nothing like that. That is very important. Yeah, another question.
I think the first word that we discussed of pure definition of pure devotional service, Anyapilashita Shunya. So where Prabhupada said Anyapilashita means without any ulterior motive. You might have desires, but the motive should be correct to please the Lord.
But when you read it in a different context, you understand it much better, no? Yeah. So when I read this, I was, wow, ulterior motive is such a dangerous thing in Krishna consciousness. Which means every activity I do, I need to ask myself, ulterior motive क्या है? As simple activities. Why do I want this? What is my ulterior motive? If I am giving this donation, why am I giving this donation? What is the ulterior motive? Like that. Okay. Is it pure? कुछ भी नहीं है उससे आगे. Like that. So keep checking. Someone take that. Yes.
When you say about the social convention, people may come, but you also say generally people will come out of social convention. They will be having the material desires, and mostly that's what we have learned. So that's not an ulterior motive, right? That's a
material desires may be still there, but the reason why you are chanting is not driven by the material desire. Then there is no ultimate motive. Doesn't make sense. Everybody will be impure only. Prabhupada is saying, neophyte means what? Neophyte means full of material desires. But you are not participating in the kirtan or regularly coming to the kirtan for a particular end. Does it make sense to you? We may have that desire, but I am not doing this activity for that desire. For many times, now can we say that all of us are akinchana, nishkinchana devotees? no material, no growth, no certain desire. ऐसा बोल सकते हैं हम लोग? No. But can we say that everything we do in devotional service is false? Everything is driven by ulterior motive? No. Out of 10 activities we do, we may do 8 with a pure consciousness. 2 we may still do sumudi में भी to get some recognition. 2 उठा दिया इसके साथ, थोड़ा pride भी मिल गया, अपना नाम भी आ जाएगा इसमें, like that. Or I will become close to some higher authority, like that. So I am doing certain activities so that I am close, so that we build a power center around ourselves. So there are so many things that the mind will tell. We have to question, क्यों कर रहा हूँ, क्यों कर रहा हूँ, क्यों कर रहा हूँ. Then we will come face to face. That is when we will understand. That is called self-realization. We will understand what am I? How much our mind is driving us away from the Paramatma's guidance. How much guidance I am taking from my mind and how much guidance I am taking from my Paramatma. When I say Paramatma is not going to come out in Chaturbhuj form and talk to us. Paramatma means what? Guru, Sadhu and Shastra. That is what. So from the scriptures that we come to know. So that evaluation constantly is required. Why am I doing something? Why am I doing something? Does it make sense? Did I answer? Yeah. So these are the two. So Prabhupada is writing shadow is better because ulterior motive. So that's the most significant point that at least I derived from this whole section. To keep checking ulterior motives in every single interaction or in whatever that we do. Even if we get angry with any devotee, we can call it as transcendental. Till we question our transcendental tha. Anger, you are not talking to this devotee. Transcendental. Ask mind, it's a transcendental? Because of pure love for Krishna, therefore I am not behaving with this devotee properly. What do you think? What will be the answer? Correct? At least we have spent some time with our mind and understood that yes, I have found you. Correct? So then we have a chance to do something about it. Otherwise we will not do anything about it. It will just be like that. Correct? So that is the next. The third part is transforming Rati Abhash into genuine Bhava. Transforming Rati Abhash into genuine Bhava. Now how do we transform this shadow into that genuine? Whether it may be Pratibimba or it may be Chaya. How do we transform? So Prabhupada writes that if one serves devotees, his imitative attachment can transform into genuine attachment. Simply by continuing to serve devotees, whatever that imitative attachment that is there, it will slowly start becoming, the activity is still the same, you have to still continue doing that. Right? But such attachment for Krishna cannot be invoked in a person without his being sufficiently blessed by the association of pure devotees. So we need to receive blessings from pure devotees. Otherwise such attachment will not manifest in our heart. But when will we receive blessings? Only when we serve. Like that. In other words, the only way that one can transform his imitative emotions into genuine bhava is by receiving the mercy of a pure devotee. This mercy is attained by service and it is blocked by offenses. It is attained by service, but it is blocked by offenses. If someone offends a devotee, whatever attachment he has achieved, real or imagined, will wane or disappear. If we offend devotees, whatever attachment we have, it will disappear. And we will see that also. When we offend devotees, we will see that we will not be able to chant properly. Have you experienced that? I have experienced that because I am an occasional habitual offender. They have that now. Kisme? Correction Department of Prisons में habitual offenders. इसको अंदर बाहर तड़ी पार. Who go inside the jail. So since I am a habitual offender, then I know this. I can confidently say this part out of my own realization. Right? So if someone offends a devotee, whatever attachment he has achieved, real or imagined, will wane and disappear. And then we will struggle for chanting again. Like that. If the offense is very serious, then one's attachment almost becomes nil. And if the offense is not very serious, then one's attachment becomes second class or third class. the most offensive mentality is impersonalism. Prabhupada writes. The most offensive mentality is impersonalism. If we even associate with an impersonalist, our devotional ecstasy will wane until it is extinguished. Srila Prabhupada explains, if someone becomes attached to the principles of salvation or to merging into the existence of the Brahma Jyoti, this problem I don't think we will have. Anyone wants to merge into the Brahma Jyoti? We have other problems. But still we will read it. If someone becomes attached to the principles of salvation or to merging into the existence of the Brahma Jyoti, his ecstasies gradually diminish into shadow and para attachment, or else transform into the principles of ahangaropasana. Ahangaropasana means what? Worshipping the self. Khud ko aarti. The person who associates with impersonalists becomes contaminated by the notion, I am God. Srila Prabhupada writes, it is his view that by worshipping himself he is worshipping the Supreme Whole. Okay? Sometimes it is found that a neophyte is taking part in chanting and dancing very enthusiastically, but within himself he is under the impression that he has become the Supreme Whole. Now in one sense we may not 100% be like this, but we can be sometimes like this, no? That whenever we are chanting or dancing or something like that, we think that we are the center of that. Like sometimes playing the mridanga, I told also like that, the beat is going up, then sometimes the players are it's like almost saying, there is a song in Hindi, Main hi, main hu, main hi, main hu. It's almost like you are communicating like that. So you can they can see very clearly that Krishna, definitely Krishna ke bare mein nahi socha. Of course, this is, who am I to say it, but at least when we do, then we also realize, kabhi kabhi apna bhi hota hai. Like that. When we do something, then we are realizing. Or sometimes when we cook, then we will go and ask somebody, आज खिचड़ी कैसा था बोलो? क्या मैं भी सोचा था किसने बनाया? आपने बनाया? So we have that. We like to say that हाँ मैंने ये किया, मैंने वो किया. Or indirectly leading someone to say that actually it was I was behind this whole thing. Indirectly having a conversation which leads to that recognition somewhere. So where I'm saying that look, I am a small controller. This is my creation. I am a small chota Mayavadi. Like that. In my own sense. So please, recognize me. Recognize me, same thing as saying as worship me. Why do we want recognition? Because we like people worshipping puja and pratishtha. So in one sense that Mayavadi is inside all of us also. To the extent that we want to take the limelight out of Krishna and shift that light. Thoda idhar khiskana hai na. Thoda idhar ghumana. Like that. Thoda idhar bhi mera side mein bhi aana. Like that. So that is why this Mayavad philosophy is the big time focus. Uska pura focus mere pe dala because main hi hu. Wohi to. So the ultimate center when we want to become, that's why this is coming across. The ultimate ulterior motive is what? To become Krishna. That's the ultimate. For us, the tendency to become Krishna reflects in our chota dealing, where we want to be the center. Rather than directing people to Krishna, we want to be center to be directed towards us, like that. And that's where the problem comes. And such a consciousness will maybe give us some cheap admiration and some respect and some control or whatever, but it will not give us what we are aspiring for, or it will not give us what we should aspire for. Like that. So in this section, that point is coming out so beautifully, because we are talking about the higher standards. No. Higher standard means not even one room for one another. Like that. So that is the transforming the shadow into genuine bhava. So how do we do that? Only by continuing to serve pure devotees. For example, Vedras Priya Maharaj was there. Just being in his presence was so purifying. Right? Simple, saintly person. No other business other than giving holy name to all of us. No other ulterior motive in anything that he does. So just being in the presence of such a person lifts up and makes us realize that Delhi dur hai. We have to be like that. And inspiring also, tremendously inspiring. Just being in the presence of such a personality. And now Kadambakaran Maharaj is coming. So that the process is only to associate and serve the devotees. This next is causeless bhava. Apparently causeless bhava. Prabhupada writes here, Dhanodhar Maharaj writes here. If a person who apparently has not undergone serious devotional practice, sometimes we see, some people have not undergone, we don't see them doing serious devotional practice, but suddenly manifest symptoms of ecstasy. Suppose we see somebody like that. I have not seen anyone like that till now. That who is manifesting symptoms of ecstasy but may not, maybe a new person. But obviously since it is there, such person may exist. Maybe some of you might have seen such person. But if a person who apparently has not undergone, but we certainly see people who are maturing very fast in Krishna consciousness. Though we don't know behind the scenes about their sadhana and all those things. We see people suddenly, jumping miles in their Krishna consciousness. So if a person who apparently has not undergone serious devotional practices suddenly manifests symptoms of ecstasy, we should not automatically assume that he is pretending. Just seeing some mundane symptoms, we should not also conclude Bhava Bhakti mein. At the same time, if somebody who is, according to our direct dictionary, he or she may not be doing something great, but they are demonstrating, then we cannot say that, hey, kya Bhava Bhakti, ye to abhi aaya. एक साल पहला हम लोग तो 30 साल से हैं. It's not like that. So therefore we should not automatically assume that he is pretending or exhibiting one of the varieties of Rati Avash, or say that Prabhu looks like Rati Avash. Chaya ho sakta hai. Not like that. Okay? So we don't do this. His ecstasy may be genuine. If it is seen that a person has developed the high standard of devotion, please hear this line. This is a punchline. If it is seen that a person has developed a high standard of devotion without having undergone even the regulative principles, it is to be understood that his status of devotional service was achieved in a former life. That is why he is manifesting so readily. Like that. For example, person comes in, second day he is dancing up and down. Like that. I remember one devotee I can talk about certainly. Who we saw, coming and directly taking it very fast. Our Harinam Anand, you know him? If you have seen, many people, we have seen him since he used to come with his white clothes and hair, with the jeans, he used to dance in the Kedar. So I was always observing him, highly enthusiastic. He just came and took to it like very fast. And now he's on Back to Godhead. If you see the latest Back to Godhead, his photograph is there in 3 different places. That jumping, and going worldwide, doing kirtan. So we can see such devotees who have, obviously they are not ordinary devotees. Such a taste for Harinam, it just cannot come just like that. So you could assume that it's just continuing from a former lifetime. The final part is attitude towards faults in devotees. So I'll just read this paragraph, it's pretty self-explanatory. If a person on the platform of bhava appears to have some fault, how should we understand it? Because there can be traces of anarthas even at the platform of bhava. You remember in the previous section we did that? Even Bharat Maharaj, it was said, Bharat Maharaj was on the platform of bhava, but his attachment to the deer came because of some offenses. Like that. So if a person, of course, that is very rare, it's almost negligible. So Vedas Priya Maharaj I was attending one lecture recently in Vipin Prabhu's house, where Maharaj said, in Bhava there is no anartha, Maharaj said. Remember? I was just trying to reconcile. Obviously both are right in some. Almost nil. But still, there are exceptional cases where the Lord may show to show some pastime. Like that. If a person on the platform of Bhava appears to have some fault, how should we understand it? Srila Rupa Goswami explains that although Bhava has arisen, it has not yet completely destroyed all sinful reactions. Bhava has arisen, but it has not fully destroyed all sinful reactions. One should disregard such faults. Now please understand, sinful reaction is for sins committed in the past. But right now the devotee is in Bhava. So he is only getting a reaction for that sin. Okay? So one should disregard such faults, understanding that the devotee will soon become completely perfect by the glorious force of his devotion. Just the force of his devotion will mean that devotee will become perfect. Srila Prabhupada states, the example is given that on the full moon there are some spots which may appear to be pock marks. Okay? Still, the illumination spread by the full moon cannot be checked. Similarly, a little fault in the midst of volumes of devotional service is not at all to be counted as a fault.
11th chapter. At the end.
So these are the key 5 points from this section that we need to remember. From the second section of our the next class, next week we will complete Prema Bhakti chapter, and then we will move to Nectar of Instruction the week thereafter. And in parallel I prepare the closed book exam. Yeah, Prabhupada.